Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Riverdale recap. That's what I'm gonna go with, Callum. I don't know. Gonna
Wonderful.
switch it up. Riverdale recap, and today I am well, obviously Matthew, joined by my wonderful co-host and best friend.
Callum,
Hey man, lovely to see you. So
lovely
yeah,
to
as
see
you were
you,
saying,
Matthew. And I
oh
and I, ne- I never return that because I don't want to break your flow. The
thank you,
flow of
mate.
your
Thank
discussion.
you.
But I'm worried that people are going to comment when someone going to say "lovely to see you" to Matthew, and
No,
it is
you do
always
say
lovely
it.
to
You
see you,
do say it
Matthew,
sometimes. It makes it into the. You say it. I listen back to it in the edit. You say it.
from
So
time
I
to
appreciate
time.
it. But yeah, like we covered last week with our friend Cash, Riverdale has recently came back on our TV screens, and yeah, we're back to talk about it. So, yeah, I'm going to pass over to Callum to explain what episode this was in the series. Yeah, so off to you, man.
So this is season 5, episode 2. In reality, it would have been, season 4, episode 21. And
Yeah,
next week's presumably would have been the finale, which is the graduation of the characters, which seems like the logical conclusion to a season, as opposed to the one that we got. But of course, based on the context of the pandemic, unavoidable.
yeah,
But here, I feel like this is, a real. This takes a lot of damage, from the situation because this is like an episode. I saw a review that had a thumbnail that said like an entire season in one episode, which
it
I think is
is.
a
It
very apt
absolutely.
description of this because they
Yeah,
try to tie up every single loose end, sweep everything under the carpet.
they
Whether it
absolutely
makes
do need
sense or
to.
not, they just want to get rid of it so they can move on to bigger and better things.
Literally, mate, every single plot line is wrapped up here. It's unreal. Like, not one really goes unanswered. So it's gonna be a good episode because there's gonna be so much talking points. But yeah, as always, full spoilers for this one. And yeah, if you haven't already checked out our latest video, it's Callum shared his first report about the Wilhelm scream and the origins of that. So go check that out as well. It's a really
I feel like it's one that's not going to get a lot of hits. I don't think it's something that a lot of people know about, but that's why you should listen to
That's
it
why you should listen
so,
to it. Yeah,
so you can learn a
exactly,
bit.
exactly, 100%.
Because
But
I was a big fan, but I didn't know anything about it. So doing a bit of research
it
that I
was
then
interesting.
could share
It's
with you
really it's
guys,
fascinating.
it was a fun time.
It absolutely was. So I'm just gonna pass it to you, and I'll chip in where I can with my notes. Yeah.
So the episode opens with the death of Brett. One of Jughead's classmates from Stonewall Prep, and I think both of us were elated. But I
Absolutely.
think you may agree with me that I was a bit disappointed I didn't get to see the light drain from his eyes, which were eventually gouged out. But I would have just loved to see that prolonged death scene because I really don't
Yeah.
think seeing that obscured or something that we would have uh, you know predicted that it was Charles. I mean, of
Hmm.
course it was Charles.
Of
We,
course.
we had seen, the like. I think Riverdale thinks that its audience is stupid because we had previously seen, and with it they flash back to the scene in the episode. We saw the moment where Charles communicates with Chick and puts his hand against the glass.
Yeah.
So they were very clearly a couple, and I don't know why this episode tries to serve it as a surprise.
Hmm.
Like it is absolutely not.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, and if we want to talk about the character of Jughead, because uh, we've talked a lot about the romances and of course
We
the
have
cheating scandal.
the
And
scandal.
I think we're gonna have to talk about it, up until the jump forward in time because I feel like it's gonna remain pertinent to the story, in this episode of course and in next episode. But I'm honestly disgusted by the charade of ignorance, even by Veronica and Archie to deceive Jughead into not getting to realize that he deserves so much better than Betty. I
Hmm.
am a firm anti-Betty,
I
campaigner.
am too.
She is by far the worst character in the show, in my opinion.
I think Veronica is definitely my favorite,
And I think,
100%.
yeah, at this point, I think we could both agree in the past our favorite was Archie. I
Yeah.
think you maybe saw a bit of yourself in him in the past. I feel like, you like to hit a heavy bag. You're obviously handsome, jacked, ladies' man. And Archie used to be my favorite
Thanks.
too. And they've 100% ruined his character. And I think that cheating is kind of a character flaw in real people and fictional characters that for me like I'll just never be able to see past. He had like an emotional and physical affair with Betty, and no matter how much apologizing he does, I don't think he'll ever be the same in my eyes. I don't know one cares about that, but for my personal enjoyment of the
I know what you
show,
mean.
he's meant to be the main protagonist. He's meant to be our point of view character in this crazy world, and he's a piece of shit. And
Yeah.
like he is the more remorseful of the two, but he was also the more invested in this in this I was gonna say extramarital, extra relationship affair.
Yeah,
And I just
100%.
wish that he had at least had the self-awareness to let Hiram beat him up, because
Yes.
for me that is
That
the
scene
best
is
part of this
amazing.
episode.
That scene
The
is a
conversation
classic.
between the two of them. But Archie deserved to get his ass kicked, and I feel like him, threatening to fight Hiram back was just, him not being self-aware of
Yeah.
how much he hurt Veronica.
I would have loved if Hiram just gave him a right hook and knocked him out. That would have been absolutely unreal. Hiram doesn't really do anything that much.
I
He
mean,
just goes, he sneaks up behind him. He's like,
I
"You're a
know,
disgrace," and then that's it. It's so anticlimactic.
yeah. Like he's killing gangsters, and he won't even beat up this little boy. Like, and Archie screams, "Get out of my gym."
He's like, "You
Hiram
want
bought
a
it for him.
rematch?"
Yeah, like Hiram bought him that gym. I feel like he can probably pull some strings. Like, he is like, an intelligent, well, maybe not intelligent. No one in Riverdale is intelligent. They think they're intelligent, but Hiram is like seemingly, a planner. So
Yeah.
you would think he would, be like embezzling through the gym, or
Set
laundering
up
money
some
or
booby
something.
traps.
Yeah, instead of
Archie
just
walks
like
in, Archie walks in through the door, just gets decapitated or something. Riverdale over. That would have been absolutely fantastic.
I mean, he hates Archie, or at least, he has a heavy disdain for him after, him putting him in prison. So I really I don't even remember, because I think it was at least 2 seasons ago. But like, I feel like,
I forget all the
that
evil
this
shit he's done.
alleged crime boss wouldn't just hand over the keys to this business, no strings attached. I'm
Yeah.
sure he said that there is no strings attached, but I really don't believe it.
Hiram's
Uh,
done that so much evil stuff that I forget all the evil stuff he's actually done. Like when him and
yeah,
Archie in like a couple episodes ago or whatever were like just sitting by a fire just talking and stuff like that. Those kind of conversations that they sometimes have. It kind of feels like I actually really like Hiram in moments as well, just because he's such an asshole.
mm.
But here, yeah, the sneak attack was priceless. It was so good.
But like, he was working with Penelope Blossom to distribute drugs to everyone. He's killed multiple people.
Put Archie
He's
in
a
prison.
crime lord, and like, people are just, he's the
He's the
mayor
mayor
of
of
the mayor
Riverdale.
of the town. Like, I completely forgot about that until like he asked Archie to be his deputy mayor.
Yeah,
Like, it is. I
Archie is
mean, I
deputy
suppose
mayor. Oh
it
my
is.
god.
It's a commentary on corrupt government, but I think the corruption goes to maybe ties with organized crime, or you being paid under the table. But I really don't think it carries over to a known crime boss who wouldn't get any votes.
Yeah, 100%, like 100%. And we sort of talked a lot about Hiram there. I did feel a little bit bad for him this episode because he gets beaten up by a bunch of gangsters hired by his daughter, and also gets divorced in a matter of 5 minutes in the show. It's
I
kind of
mean,
got
he
me think
absolutely deserves it.
he absolutely deserves it, yeah. But do you think the character of, is it, what's her name? Is it like Hermione or Hermanisa?
Hermione, yeah.
Hermione, yeah. Do you think she's gonna
Or
be
do
like
do you mean his wife or his daughter?
his daughter?
Oh shit, what is her
What
name?
is her name?
Uh, fuck.
It's something. Is it
Uh,
like something Issa or isn't it or something?
uh,
Well, his daughter. What? No, the daughter that's not Veronica. Do you think she's gonna have
yeah.
like an important role in the show going forward? Like, do you think she's gonna, obviously, with the time jump in mind? Do you think all Archie and the gangs would come back and she's gonna be running Riverdale? What do you reckon?
Is it Hermosa?
That's it. That's the one,
Is
Hermosa.
it?
Yeah, I think so. I
Yeah.
think so.
I think that pretty much everything established in season 5 is getting completely binned. Like, I think that this episode is a clear indication that they just want rid of anything that was
Yeah,
established in that
yeah,
season, for
100%.
whatever reason. Because I mean, I would say season 4 was nowhere near the worst. Season 3 is absolutely the worst of Riverdale, I think.
Yes, agreed.
I think it is. I mean, some of the worst of television. But
Season
season
five's been
4, I
really
think,
good so far. Season five's been amazing.
yeah. I mean, except for every revelation in this episode, because of the connotations it has for serving to make season 4 even more of a pointless, terrible season. Because if I went back and watched season 4 now, and I just went, oh, all those tips are jelly bean, like they don't mean anything. Like, it's building up to this narrative for half a season.
Yeah.
Like, the Jughead
Yeah.
murder mystery is meant to be, it's the first half of the season. This half a season long mystery
I was just
is,
Jellybean mucking about with
yeah,
their friends.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just jelly being, like, didn't actually commit any murders, just chilling, like,
Yeah.
just wanted to keep, like, you know, uh, I just don't feel
I
like
mean,
it's
yeah.
any cause.
We've talked
And
about
I think we should talk about that
go for it.
revelation now.
Yeah, for sure.
From that sort of uncomfortably long lingering shot on Jelly Bean at the beginning of the episode, and her presence at the rave in the previous episode, Like it did make me feel like that she's still a suspicious figure. And you before had you had predicted that she was the auteur, which I'd never heard before. You were the first one to bring that theory to my attention. And this is, I mean, this is horrendous. Her being responsible, I think, is a good twist because as soon as you said that to me, I was like, yeah, maybe because she's the only one connected to all the victims. She's the only one that knows everybody, and when you're in when you're in lower school, you just have all that time on your hands.
You do,
So I
you
mean,
absolutely do.
like she's probably the one with the most free time.
I
And
love it.
so the twist I respect, but the explanation is the biggest letdown this show has ever
It
produced.
absolutely
Like,
is.
I think it would be sufficient. It would be sufficient for, like a 2 episode arc, but this is a half of a season spanning mystery. It's horrendous. Like, I wanted to ask you, do you think, because I have a firm opinion on this, do you think this was a decision that they always had in mind, or do you think it was made during the break in order to like quickly wrap up the storyline and sweep it
It's
under the rug?
it's gotta be the one where they just had a break. It has to be. I mean, how could they
It
have
has
thought about that concept and thought, yeah, we'll just conclude it. Jellybean was just having some fun with their friends. Do you know what I mean? It felt like,
Yeah.
too much plot
Imagine
lines
that
are
in the
wrapped up here.
finale of a season.
Oh, you'd be so cross. Like that would be the worst. Like it feels like they need to conclude everything before the time jump, and to a degree, I really respect that. Like they don't have any loose ends and stuff. And I think here we've talked. I'll tally up a list of plotlines here. So we've got Farewell Brett, and
Mhm.
then we've got David from the DVD store dead, Jelly Bean with the tapes, Charles is a bastard. We've also got, there is another one here, but I can't remember. Oh yes, and then we've obviously Archie. I think the Archie plotline here is actually pretty good, but with the with
Yeah.
his dad and stuff. But yeah, like it felt like so much shot lines were wrapped up here, didn't it? Really?
I'm just kind of like genuinely embarrassed. Like, they were building to like a crescendo, for so long. And, of course, like the first 3 episodes of this season equate to what were going to be the last 3 episodes of last season. But, so presumably they were planning on wrapping up the auteur storyline within those 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that they just carried the scripts over. But I just, excuse me, I
You're
just
right.
can't imagine this being
Yeah.
like the penultimate episode of
I
the
know.
season. Like
Absolutely
it would
not.
be, I mean,
A
which is
disgrace,
why
to
I'm
quote
I'm
Iron.
glad that it carried over because
Yeah.
I watched this as an episode in isolation, of the rest of last season. It's episode 2 of a season, so this is a perfectly serviceable episode for episode 2 of a new season. But as a penultimate episode right before the finale,
Dog shit.
dreadful.
Absolute dog shit. It is. It absolutely is. And I was reading a little bit about this time jump that's going on, and it's not really a minor. It's a very minor spoiler. Do you mind if I mention it?
About the time jump.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm fine. You mentioned
Okay.
it with
So
me.
this is a very minor spoiler for yours. So if you don't want to know, you probably pause now.
Hmm.
But yeah. So basically, in the synopsis of episode 4, when the time jump takes place, apparently it takes place 7 years after this,
Yeah.
and Archie returns back to Riverdale. And I think the only one there who is able to catch him up on all this is Tony. And then Tony
Hmm.
sort of explains that, like, yeah, the town's become a ghost town. So then Archie has to, obviously, there's some sort of like evil, malevolent thing going on in the town. So Archie has to get all the gang back into Riverdale to find out what's going on. So it kind of feels like it's not really going where I expected it to go, but I'm kind of happy because it kind of maybe establishes that Archie is the main character of the show. Like, who do you think is the main
Yeah.
character here as well? Because I think the last few seasons have gone their own way. So Jughead seasons, Betty seasons. I think Archie is the main character of the show for me, but I'm not sure. Who do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, he's of course established, as the main character in the first season, but I think a few of the last seasons have like, been like really floundering to even involve him. They're like they've created this dumb character who couldn't possibly go to college, so they've been like, oh fuck, what can we do with him? And they've been throwing all these options at the wall, and they're like, oh shit, none of them
Naval
are working.
Academy,
He's
boxing,
yeah, they're
music.
like shit, he's still too dumb. Let's give him his own business. Like I don't know. Like let's make him like they've made him a vigilante in like 2 different
Vigilante as
seasons.
well.
You know, like these are high schoolers and they're all like business owners or criminals. Or
Yeah.
FBI liaisons. It is the dumbest show I watch continuously. Like there are worse shows
Yeah.
that I watch every week, like Batwoman and Supergirl, but this show is the worst, like the worst quality, like, well,
I love it
writing
though.
wise, like it's the
I
dumbest.
absolutely
No,
love
I
it.
love it with all my heart. Like
Yeah.
it's insane how much I love it. But you
Yeah.
know, 100% last season was Jughead season. This season, I think there's going to be a bit more balance with hopefully a bit more of a focus on Archie. But they need to give him a a storyline with meaning. And you know, based on the quality of these two episodes, I'm kind of I'm optimistic to believe that they can deliver that. I am a bit disappointed by that synopsis though. I've seen a few clips, and Tony appears to be like the PE teacher in Riverdale High, so presumably that's why she has stayed there. I did get it wrong before last week. I did think it was a 5-year time jump, but I think that was when that was sort of just a working theory, and then it's come to light that it'll be the 7 years. I was kind of hoping that they would move away from Riverdale, and because Hiram Lodge in this episode says that he's going to go on an extended holiday, and I was hoping that the characters would do that too, because there are a lot of likable characters in. I mentioned the spin-off series, Katie Keene. So I kind of would have liked to see them all move to New York. Have a bit of a new setting, remove themselves from
Yes.
some of the cliches and more of the the cringy stuff. I mean, I obviously appreciate that. That's what lifts the comedy of this show. But I feel like for the quality of the storytelling, I feel like they need more of a break than presumably the first 5 minutes of episode
Mm.
4.
I'll be honest with you, buddy. I've never really felt this excited for like a TV plotline in a while. Actually, with Riverdale, the time jump, I think it could be a
Mm,
really smart decision. And it kind of the way I would sort of liken to like with the film Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse, I really like how that film showcases like sort of each Spider-Man's life, before they all meet up, or sort of, do you know what I mean? Like it gives the origins. Like I would kind of like it,
yeah.
if obviously in that film, Peter B. Parker, Spider Gwen, Miles Morales, and those kind of characters. But I'd like it if
Mm,
Riverdale here, if it showed you like, okay, this is what Archie's doing 7 years later. He's working in
yeah.
Chicago or whatever. Jughead's at Iowa, Betty's whatever, and then Tony is still in Riverdale or whatever, and Veronica, who knows? But I would really like it because I actually think that could provide for some really like great like emotional moments as well for the show, because obviously these characters have spent 7 years apart, and we've sort of talked about whether you know is it's going to be like a Marvel Cinematic Universe scenario where it's just going to be like we're never going to see them in high school again. Like that's quite a big thing for a TV show that is a quintessential like teen high school drama show. Do you know what I mean? It's a really
Yeah.
big move for that type of
Yeah,
show.
I think you sort of equated it to what we see in like It Chapter 2. Obviously the characters'
Exactly.
lives have
Yes.
moved forward, and some of them have stayed behind due to the trauma they've experienced, or maybe the connections they have in the town. And I think it'll be really interesting to see. I don't think it'll be anything new or fresh, but I feel like these characters are so dumb and fun and not likable necessarily. They all have their faults.
Enjoyable
I
to
would say the
watch, I
one
suppose. Yeah.
who is the person that you like the most, like as a person? Like who would you want to spend time with? Because
Mm.
Veronica, like Veronica is complicit in many of her dad's crimes. By not calling in outer
Yeah.
police or whatever.
Yeah.
There is a level of complicitness to his crimes there, and yeah, an
I think for
18-year-old calling
me,
their dad daddy. When he's a crime boss.
crime boss.
Bit of a yeah, a bit of a
Yeah.
stretch.
I've got three favorite characters in the show. I've got Reggie, which is a bit of unusual, I know. I've got a few
Mm,
actually. I've got a few. I'll give you a wee list of. So I've got Reggie. I really
okay.
like Monroe, Mad Dog. I actually really like him.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Of
I really like Pop, of course, but I've actually heard that I can't remember
course.
if it was you who told me this. This is a very minor spoiler as well, but apparently when in the 7 year time jump, I think they come back and like Pop's granddaughter is like running Pops and stuff, so she's going to be a character for the show, like Pop's
Oh,
family. So there might go more
no,
with his,
I hadn't heard anything about that.
which is pretty interesting. I like Veronica, and I actually really do quite like Archie, even though he's such an asshole sometimes. I do quite deep down. I actually do quite like him, to be honest. Which is FP, of
Yeah.
course. I love FP.
Mm.
What about you?
Yeah. I think the Veronica is the most moral character of the of the core four.
Yeah.
But if I actually had to hang out with one of them, aside from his cringy diatribes and his sort of his kind of I mean, like his frankly terrible creative writing. But he seems to be very proud of it. Like
Yeah.
when something is like your only talent slash most of your personality, like you have to be good at it.
You have to, don't you?
Like I have nothing in my life where I'm like, oh, this is my passion, this is my dream. I'm so good at this. Because I don't want people to be like, oh, you're not very good at that, are you? But I feel like he just has a real arrogance about him. But he's still the one I'd probably like to hang out with most.
Yeah.
I could not tolerate Betty for more than a few minutes, and Archie, if we got into like a moral debate, and he was just like, yes, I went around and beat up this guy because I was angry about this thing, and then I went over and I cheated on my girlfriend, and then didn't
I
tell her
know.
about that, and then I had sex with her in the shower, and then I beat another person up, and then I smashed my
That's how I
TV
roll,
in. Yeah,
Like,
if
yeah.
I just asked like, how was your day, like what did you get up to, like I feel like I would just like slowly back away and potentially call the police.
I love it. Like, one thing about the show, we've sort of mentioned the core four there, as you put it really well. In recent episodes, late season 4, early season 5, I think the show kind of wants to develop more of a wider circle. We've seen at one episode that really sticks to mind for me is the episode Killing Mr. Honey, where like in the story, it sort of appears like Reggie and sort of Cheryl and Tony are part of the main group as well. So I would really like to see season 5 with the time jump in mind, sort of include Reggie, Cheryl, and Tony a bit more, because I actually think they add a lot to the group rather than the core four. Like the core four, I think you can get bogged down with the same sort of storylines of who's cheating on whose parents is being an asshole. Do you know what I mean? So I think if you add Reggie, Cheryl, and Tony and Kevin as well. I keep forgetting about Kevin, but yeah,
Yeah,
I think even bolster that out. Like have more people in the group. Maybe bring, I don't know,
yeah.
Josie or Valerie back. I don't know. That's just an idea, but that's just, yeah. I'd like to see more people.
One thing I have to say is Veronica needs her own storyline. Her character is intrinsically linked narratively to Archie and her dad, but
Hmm.
she doesn't have a single storyline of her own. It's always, how does she react to Archie cheating on Betty? Sorry, cheating on her with Betty. How does she react to her dad being a criminal?
Yeah.
There's no storyline for her. And
Hmm.
I'd like to
Agreed.
see, if I wanted to see one big change with the time jump, I'd like to see that, because I really like her.
Yeah, completely, bud, completely. And with the time jump, like, do you think it is going to be sort of a Marvel Cinematic Universe scenario where we never see them in high school again? What do you think?
I mean, of course, because they're the same age, they're the same age now as they will be. After they flashback the actors themselves. They can, I guess, flashback if they need to. But I'm pretty comfortable with the time jump. It's been, we've been watching this show for 4 years. I feel
Yeah.
like we've seen enough.
Uh-huh.
We've seen all the big events. We've had all the romance drama. Like I think I've seen enough. So I feel like they are probably going to commit to keeping them as
Yeah.
adults.
I think so. I think so. Any more parts from you, man?
I had one just quite bitchy comment, if I'm honest.
Go for it.
Quite an underdeveloped point, but kind of bitchy. At the end of the film, sorry, at the end of the episode, we see, as you mentioned, Hermione finally announced her divorce from Hiram. She'll probably go back to him because the last time she said that, she like had sex with Sheriff Minetta, then she killed him,
Sheriff
then she burnt
Minetta,
down the
remember
cabin that
him?
she killed him
Oh my
in,
God.
and then she's got back with Hiram even though she hates him.
I think my favorite
It's
scene in
it's
Riverdale
an odd
is,
relationship.
I think that one of my favorite scenes in Riverdale, and not for the reason people might think, but like it's the reason where it's the scene where like Hiram like sort of stands behind Hermione, and it's sort of like he's got like a fire lit. I think you know the scene I'm talking about. He just slowly starts to, like undress and like tempts her to
Oh yeah.
like such a weird
uh
scene. It is so creepy.
Painful.
It is. Oh,
But
should it be my wife
at the
again?
end,
Yeah.
she says that she's divorcing him for the freedom to go be a real housewife, and all I wrote was, can't really be a real housewife without a husband.
Yeah. Yeah,
Bit
literally.
bit
Like,
bit of,
also,
bit of a
isn't
bitchy
Hiram?
comment for me, but
Does Hiram not control all the family's finances as well?
you would think so. You would think so,
So he
Matthew.
could just, yeah, cut her off.
Because I mean, does Hermione used to have a job. She was like she was
She,
like the
she used to
city
work.
planner or something.
She
Like,
used to work with Fred Andrews, didn't she, on the construction?
yeah, she initially did, and then I think at some point,
Pops as well. She used to work with Pops.
in season 2 or season 3, like she got some sort of promotion to government where she had to sign off on plans or something. Like I feel like
Yeah,
she was part of
something
the
like
city.
that.
Like so many things happen in this show, and like if I was genuinely like had storylines brought up to me, like even not forcing me to remember them, if someone said this happened in Riverdale, I may well just be like, no, it didn't. Like because I just genuinely wouldn't believe it.
Yeah,
But
I
I
know.
feel like something happened where she was in government.
something like that. No, I do. Maybe she was like mayor of the town or something, or deputy mayor maybe, or something like that. I can't remember.
Maybe.
Something like that.
And
But yeah.
once again in this episode, I think the cringe is dialed down massively, and it comes across more sincere, especially with Archie struggling with the loss of his dad, and I think it's much better written than the normal standard of Riverdale,
I
and as
agree.
well written as the first episode. So the standard is definitely a lot higher this season, and I think it's a win for television, but a loss for us because we
Yes.
do prefer the cringy shit that is normally peddled out.
Yeah, like we've reviewed Songbird, a KG Apple film. I think his acting's really gone up a level in the last year. To be honest with
Yeah,
you, I think he's really good, and it's not something I thought I would say a year ago. To be honest with you, man.
yeah.
I don't want to be too harsh on him, but yeah, I think he's great, and I agree. I think the quality's really gone up a level for sure.
I
Yeah.
think sometimes like doing accents it also sort of acts as a as an inherent obstacle to your performance. So I feel like if we could see him in a leading role with his with his regional New Zealand accent, like
Mhm.
I feel like he could probably deliver an even better performance because I
Yeah,
think the emotion is there.
yeah, for sure. Any more remarks from yourself?
No, did you want to rate this episode on a massive hit or piece of shit?
It's got to be a massive hit. It's probably my. It's. I think it's improved in the first episode, even though it wraps up so many storylines. I was definitely thoroughly entertained. Like it kept me really intrigued, and I just can't wait for the next episode. And the next episode. And it's not something I thought I'd say about Riverdale, but I'm really
Yeah.
gonna miss this show when it's not on anymore. So I'm really soaking it all up now while I can. The sort of like these Riverdale seasons. So if I'm gonna give it out of 10, probably an 8 as well. I loved it. What about yourself?
Yeah, I agree. The entertainment value is massive, and I appreciated the revelation, the quite obvious revelation that Charles was a serial killer. Because
Yeah.
it was very apparent. I feel like they maybe let the audience in on that a little too early because I think we learned that in maybe season 4, episode 15 or 16. I feel like that we were maybe a bit too clued in at that point.
Hmm.
But the jelly bean resolution is genuinely horrendous, and I would honestly rather they just leave it there, because I feel like we heard her motive, and it was to get Jughead to stay because she was worried that he was gonna leave and move for university to go to the University of Iowa,
Hmm.
and I would honestly yeah just rather they because that's a terrible reasoning, especially for all the incredibly dark stuff that
Yeah.
she did with her friends. But honestly, just leave it. Like I feel like they can't recover it at this point. I
Hmm.
feel like if they were like
Agreed.
past psych, there was actually a deeper reason. I'd just be like, I'm over it.
Yeah, it's
Like
time
just
for
leave it, leave it in the
a
past.
clean slate, I think, for the time jump.
Yeah, I think so. But I do concur with you that this episode was a massive step up in quality from the standard that we've previously seen. So a massive hit, and my enjoyment is lower because the cringe is lower. That
Of course,
that
I understand. I
obviously adds
understand.
to the dumb fun of the show. So
Hmm.
yeah, I would agree a 7.5, 8 for it being a Riverdale episode.
Yeah, nice one. No, yeah.
Quality in comparison to the rest of Riverdale is high.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think it was a really good episode, really good fun recording with you, buddy. And yeah, stay tuned, guys, next week for the final episode of Riverdale when they're in high school, episode 3 of season 5. Well, we'll be doing a Riverdale recap as well. And yeah, hope you guys are all safe and well. Hope your family and friends are all safe and well too. Take care, everyone, and bye bye.
Bye bye.